Will you help me welcome Ms. Denisse Olivas?
Can you guys hear me with this? Yes? Oh, okay, excellent. Well, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much, Elsa, for inviting me. I was just telling Elsa that I got my first job through LULAC and the Rio Grande Association, I think it was back then. So I got my very first job here in El Paso thanks to them. So I'm so happy to be here. And when Adrian invited me, I was so excited. I said automatically, I said yes, I want to be here. So thank you so much again for hosting me. Adrian asked me to talk to you a little bit about what we do with our center, the Center for Hispanic Entrepreneurship, and also talk a little bit about the marketing plan and the importance of the marketing foundation. So I'm gonna be, I'll start with the center first, tell you what we do and what we're all about, and then I'll go into the marketing plan side of it, which is also gonna help you to hone those business plan strategies that you're already working on. So again, thank you so much for having me here. I've been with the center for 4 years already, and the center pretty much has been going on for some years, and basically it's a research entity at the College of Business within UTEP. And so our focus is on researching and advancing minority research so that we can help you be successful. So all of minorities, Latinos, specifically Latinos, we're very interested in learning what the needs are and how they can be more successful. So we also want to create this knowledge with the idea, with the mission of sharing this information with everybody. We don't just want to publish in journals or just let organizations know. We really want to get this information down to you so that you can make those choices and be more successful, because as you know, and as Mrs. Robles mentioned earlier, the Hispanic entrepreneur is becoming very important in being the backbone of the economy. So we want to be prepared, and we want to share all those findings with you. We also want to share, aside from the research, we also want to educate everybody, like I mentioned. We want to make this very practical. We want to get all this information down to you. So some of the research that we conducted has been mainly about what are those things that are needed by Hispanic entrepreneurs. And a lot of the research that I've done, whether it's secondary or primary research, and through my interviews, because I like to talk to current and future entrepreneurs such as yourselves, we find that there's still a great opportunity for them to grow in terms of sales, because they tend to lag behind when it comes to revenue, in terms of number of employees. Hispanic entrepreneurs are doubling the number of businesses, and they're very active, but it's just themselves. They usually don't have paid employees. So we want to help to scale those businesses, and we also want to increase the payroll. So those are the things that we see a lot, and I'll talk a little bit more as we go along through the presentation. How many of you are current entrepreneurs? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and future? Few more? Okay, excellent. So all of the stuff that I'm going to be talking about is going to help both current and future entrepreneurs to succeed. The other thing that I wanted to tell you about is the program that we also host every summer together with the Mike Loya Center for Innovation and Commerce. We have boot camp, right? You know, there's a lot of boot camps for all sorts of things. We decided to do it for entrepreneurship. So we host high school students every summer from Region 19, and this is our 4th year, and we're really excited because it has grown from 2 high schools to 8 high schools. So we bring them to UTEP, and we have a week-long program where we teach them everything from marketing, sales, pitching, finance, accounting, all the necessary components, and I'll talk a little bit more about them as we go through the presentation. and then we actually have them do the exercise of setting up their own business. So we really want to plant that seed in young people's minds that they can be powerful, they can be creative, and they can have a voice. So we're very excited to have finished our last rookie this past week. It was very tiring, it was very exciting, but we actually hope that in the kids' minds, they know that they can accomplish that and many, many more things. And I'll tell you a little story. We actually had a student from Del Valle High School who had been to our Entrepreneurship Academy for 4 years. And so she really enjoyed it, and she just went because she really felt that connection with the program. And we hope that she starts her business pretty soon. She's graduating already, so we hope to see her at UTEP, and hopefully she'll be a successful entrepreneur. So I have a little trivia challenge for you. I didn't bring any chocolate or anything, but I can give you a high five from here. So who can tell me how many businesses are there in the US? More or less, just an average. How many? A million? No, it's a little bit more than that. A little bit more than that. No, not a billion. That's too many. There are 27.9 million businesses, and you're going to become part of it, or you're already part of this. This is according to the U.S. Census. How many businesses are Hispanic owned in the U.S., or percentage? Number or percentage?
35, 75.
75 what? Percent? That's a little high. There are 4.3 million, which is about 14 or 15% of the business owners. And just a few years ago, the great thing about this is that just a few years, maybe 4 or 5 years, there were only 2.5 million businesses. So you can see that it's a fact that Hispanics are increasingly becoming more and more interested in entrepreneurship. And hence why we have to have these types of programs, such as the Latina Entrepreneur Program, which I think are great to expand your knowledge and to help you give you that foundation. How many businesses are Hispanic owned here in El Paso? Percentage. Now you can say the high numbers.
We're talking about small and big companies?
Yes, yes.
85%?
Almost 74%. So this grew from 60% just a few years ago. So you can see that again. It's happening here in El Paso as well. We have a lot of businesses. And which city has the most Hispanic owners?
Dallas.
El Paso. We live on the largest border, so we are number one, right? Just as Mrs. Robles mentioned, El Paso is number one in terms of Hispanic-owned businesses. And even more of an encouragement for us to become a great community of entrepreneurs and show the rest of the cities what we can do. Another thing that I wanted to highlight, since we're here in this particular program, is that women are also very important. 35 to 40% of business owners are now women. So there's a great opportunity for all of you who are here to be creative, to have that voice, to tell your story. And so we're seeing more and more that women are starting to open their businesses, and we're so excited to see that they're taking that step. Women are very good at handling businesses. They handle, right, home, kids, you guys handle everything. We handle everything, right? And so when it comes to a business, women are so good at managing and at getting things done. So I encourage you that if you really want to become an entrepreneur, that you use those skills and put them to work and get that voice out, get that creativity going, because there's a great opportunity for women now. It's a great time to be a female entrepreneur. There are great programs such as these and other classes and things going on that are very supportive of women. So in my research, I talk to a lot of business owners on a daily basis, or hopefully in a weekly basis. I talk to a lot of students as well who want to be entrepreneurs. And these are the things that come up over and over and over again when I talk to whether they're starting or established businesses. The number one thing is networks. Why do you guys think networks are so important? Connections to build relationships, right? So a lot of Hispanics, we're very good at having family connections and networks, right? We know who to go for when it comes to family. We're very family oriented, but when it comes to business networks, we tend to be a little bit behind. So we need to develop those communities and those opportunities, especially when you need to know how to overcome a challenge. Having a good mentor really helps to get through those things, right? Number two, capital. Why is capital important? What happens if you don't have capital? Your business cannot run, right? It cannot work. Hispanics have an opportunity there again to gain more capital. They usually struggle a little bit more because their history, their credit history is not there as other groups. So there are organizations that are starting to help entrepreneurs. So we see that there's movement there, but there's also that need to have the capital. Number three, which I think is very important, and they always tell me that they're so good at what they do. You're so good at your craft. You know how to make whatever widget, jewelry. You know how to design things. But when it comes to a business, if they don't have marketing, communication, leadership, and management skills, it's very difficult to manage a business. So these are the major opportunities for education. And I picked marketing because I think marketing is the foundation of your business, and I think it's important to have that laid before you even start with the other components of your business. So why do you think marketing knowledge is important? Why is marketing? What do you think marketing is? What brings people in? Okay. What else?
Branding yourself.
The brand, right? So marketing, a lot of people think that marketing is just about promoting yourself or about advertising or word of mouth or getting the word out there. But it has a lot of different components of the business, which I will talk about in the next slide. If you don't have that business foundation, it's very difficult to grow or to even make it in the business world. So I don't know if you've talked during the academy about the components of marketing, but anybody familiar with the 4 Ps? Yes? Yes? Okay, so creating the product. How many of you create your product? Mireya, sort of? Some of you, or will create a product? Or a service, right? It could be anything. It could be a product or a service. That's very important because you have to make decisions about how to develop the product, what ingredients it will have, what design it will have. There's a lot of things that go into that. And if you don't have a product that is right, that people want, it could hinder you from success. Promoting, of course, we know that. The third word, which is a little bit difficult to see, is delivering, right? Delivering the product. What does that mean? Delivering. Distribution, right? Your channels of distribution. Where you're gonna have, where are your customers going to purchase your product? Is it gonna be through a store? Is it gonna be through the internet, through a web page? You have to decide what you want to do with that. And it's changing. How are you going to charge for that? How much are you going to charge for it? Are you going to give them, can they pay with cash, with credit? Is it going to be a bundle? Is it going to be a membership? How are you gonna do that? So in all, you have to put all those 4 things together to create value for your customer, right? What happens if you don't create value for the customer? Then they're not gonna buy your product because they could care less, right? There's nothing that retains them. So marketing is all about capturing and retaining your customers. You wanna capture your customers initially, and then you want them to come back, right? You want that loyalty because it's cheaper, right, to keep them coming back for your product or your service. You want to create those long-term relationships with your consumers. You also want to be able to tell your story. I've noticed that a lot of business owners who don't know how to tell their story or who struggle to develop that have a harder time getting their products out there. So you need to know what your story is. How did you get started? Why are you so interested and so passionate about what you do? And again, creating and delivering that value and sharing that story is very important. These are the obstacles that I see a lot happening in marketing, and a lot of business owners come to me and tell me, I can't, get customers through the door. I just can't keep them. What's happening? And I actually had a talk with a gentleman a few days ago, and he has a very unique business, and he was struggling to get customers through the door. He said, I spent so much on media and I spent so much in advertising, and there's nothing. So I started to ask him about his customers and who are they, and it just seemed like it was like all over the place. So knowing your customers is really important. By the way, this particular presentation is up on our website, so you don't have to take pictures. If you want to take notes, that's fine, but you can download the presentation and also a template of the marketing plan on our website. I'll show you the website at the end. And again, branding is also an obstacle, right? When you first start your business, you're telling people about it, and it takes time to do this. So finding that voice, that purpose, that direction with your story is very important when you're building your case for a business. So here's steps for successful marketing based on everything that I've told you before. And I place number 1, know your customer, because if you don't know your customer, you are not going to do very well with the other stuff, right? Why do we need to know the customer? So we can meet their needs, right? You have to know how much they make, their age, their demographics, their lifestyles, their income, beliefs, and all that kind of stuff that determines what your market is, and so that you can fully connect with them. How do you think you can connect? You can know your customer. What can you do? Ask them questions. Talk to them. Exactly. Know your customer. Know your target market. Make sure that they care about your product, and that they can actually pay for it. Because we all want fancy Ferraris or fancy things, but we cannot always afford them, right? So make sure that you're talking to the people who can afford your product. If you know your customer, then you're going to create those products and services that they want. Then you're going to price them accordingly, because you're going to know how much they would be willing to pay, right? Then you can communicate. You can find a way. You already know who they are, so you know the channels to get them through, right? Millennials, do you find them in the newspaper, the paper, or on regular TV? No. Where do you find them? Where? Internet. There's social media, right? So we gotta change with the times and find them where they are and communicate in a way that matters to them. Deliver, right, through the right channels as well, and then ensure your customer is satisfied and they're coming back. Okay, again, same thing. You have to make sure that they continue to come back. I also have a story about from the past, from this particular slide that I wanted to tell, and I forgot to tell you. I have a student who started her language school, a previous student, a former student who had started her own business. And she came to do a presentation for us last year for the Rookie Entrepreneur Program because she's very young and she's been successful. And this year, she came again. And I noticed that her story was a lot more polished than last year. And she told us that her numbers last year were about 300 students for her language school, and this year they doubled to 600. So I noticed that brand and her story started to build up. So I wanted to go back to that because I wanted to tell you that story. And she learned Chinese in Taiwan one summer. She left and she just fell in love with the language. And when she came back, she decided that she wanted to teach other people. And so she started with one teacher, she started teaching herself, and then she started to hire other teachers with different languages. And it was a type of immersive language school where they just throw you to the language. The teachers don't even know how to speak the Spanish or English, any language that you know, it's just that language. And so I noticed that the way that she would tell her stories started to become more developed, more well-versed, and more sharp. And so she started to go and do talks and talk to different people, and so she started to gather more and more customers. So that's the importance of getting the story in your voice heard, and I just wanted to make that pause. Okay, so going back to the successful marketing, how many of you guys are doing all of these? No? One? Okay, good. Okay. So for those of you who don't have those steps down, a marketing plan will give you the roadmap to creating that, to having those steps in place. A marketing plan is, you guys have been working on your business plan, right? It's similar to your business plan, but it's more focused on the foundation of your business, and you can really expand in this area. So I'm going to talk next about what it takes to go through the marketing plan and why it's important. Does anybody have a marketing plan yet? No? One person? No? Nobody? Okay, perfect. So I'm in the right crowd. So why do you think it's helpful to have one? You organize your ideas, right? One of the things that it helps you with is to really put everything down on paper, get all of that jumbled stuff that's going on in the head, right? Just put it in a format that makes sense. It forces you to think through every single step. It crystallizes because now you're putting your ideas down on paper, so it helps you to manifest that. And I'm a big believer of through writing, really setting those goals down. It helps you to make better decisions because now you're following a specific plan. It also acts as a selling document. You can actually give this document to any capitalist, either an angel investor or a group or the bank, so they can learn a little bit more about your business and your plans. And you can get that money, right? Which is very important for growth or to get started even. A plan is also very flexible, right? You can bend it, you can change it, you can shift it. It's a living document, it's not set in stone. You can make changes because things happen, right? Maybe the economy changes, so you have to veer in a different direction. But it really only works if you do what? What do you have to do with a plan? Implement it. Yes, you have to take action. You can have a really nicely framed marketing plan in your office, but if you don't follow the process, then you can really advance. So you have to make it work. So these are the key points that I feel are really important when it comes to creating your marketing plan, based on everything that I've spoken to you about before. And again, this presentation is up on the website so you can download all the steps. I also have a template if you're interested in developing. I actually urge you to go download the template, and it explains a little bit more each of the sections so that we can
What's the web page, miss?
I'll give you the webpage at the end of the presentation. Because it's a long address. Okay, so we're gonna start with the executive summary. We're gonna start with the last thing that you do, right? Why is this the last thing that you do? You guys, did you already do your business plan? Yes? Yes? You did a summary? Okay. So why do we do it last?
Because that's when you pick up the most important points.
Yes, exactly. You pick up the key elements of your whole plan. You put it in a 1 or 2 page exciting story of your business, especially if you are getting loans or trying to attract investors. You want to get them excited at the beginning of the paper. Because what do you think they're gonna do if they're not excited, if you read that executive summary and they're like, oh, this is not good, and just toss it. They're not even gonna continue reading anything else because you didn't really pike their attention. So this really gives you an opportunity to talk about why you think there's a market for it, what kind of gap you see that you can fill, because that's what you're doing. You're filling the gap in the market. What's your business model? How are you gonna charge? How's it gonna work? And then you can really lay down your objectives, your strategy, how much you're gonna be making out of this, right? That's what they're really interested in, is figuring out when they're gonna get their money back. And they also wanna know who the marketing team is. A lot of the times, people will sell the loan or the investment because they know that this team is the A team and they're gonna do great. So having this as an executive summary is really important. It's the last thing you do, but it's at the front, at the beginning of your document. The next one is the situation analysis. And this is the basics of your plan. This is where you do all the dirty work and you look at yourself and say, this is my company, this is what I do, this is what I'm about, here's what I can do, and then you look at the external environment, you look at the economy, you look at the markets, you see what's going on, and you figure out where that gap is, where those needs are, and where you want to be. You also look at your industry, right? Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to look at your industry?
Because you wanted to check it out against your competition.
You want to see what's happening, what are the trends, who's the competition, right? You want to make sure that you know what's going on there. You want to see what your competitive advantage is. What makes you special from the competition? If both of us are doing the same thing, both of us have gyms, what makes my gym different from yours? Is it the market? I'm sorry?
I do personal training.
Personal training. Maybe I just get a lot of people in and out. You do personal training, and that's what makes you special. Maybe you have a lot of experience in training, things like that. So you want to make sure that you know that. You also look at the economy. You take a look at politics, restrictions, things that can hinder your business from happening. Any cultural environments. You know, are you providing services for Hispanics, for African Americans, for Asian Americans, for Anglos, for, you know, who's your market? Is it a mix? Is it, what makes them different culturally? What are their beliefs? Things like that, you know, you look at. And then you create a SWOT analysis. Are you guys familiar with the SWOT analysis? Yes? What does it stand for? Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, right? Strengths and weaknesses of yourself, of your business, opportunities and threats on the outside. Why do you do a SWOT analysis? How does this help you? To be prepared? Exactly. What do you do with your strengths? You're good there, right? Well, there's an opportunity there that we can fill. And then what are the threats or the weaknesses that may hinder that? So that's where you figure out where you can create maybe new products or fill in the gap. And then the last one, market research. Again, market validation is so important. Talking to your potential customers about the product, about pricing, about what needs are there, what pains them, what's their pain, what kind of pain are you going to alleviate? You want to do that. I see a lot of business owners that don't know who their customers are, and they create all these products, and then nobody wants them. So defining this is through research is very important. So all of this, again, is the base of your plan and helps you to develop the rest of the sections. So again, based on those opportunities that you were able to gather from that scan of your environment, you figure out what opportunity is, right? You figure out, this is where I can fill in the gap, this is what people want, these are the pains, and it has to be very self-evident, especially when you're asking for money or from investors, from banks. You have to figure out a way to make the opportunity there look fantastic, and just it has to be very evident. And also at the price, like what's in it for those people who are going to invest in your business. Next, you include the business model, again, based on everything that you've researched. How are you going to make money? What are you going to sell? How are you going to sell it? What kind of activities are you going to have to generate your sales? Very important. If you don't have a way to make money, if you're shy about making money, then it's not going to happen. You'll have a business model of how you're going to charge. Objectives. Why do you want to have some objectives in there? They're goals, right? You want to have some sort of milestone that you want to accomplish. Business owners will tell me, oh, well, I'm like, what's your goal? Oh, well, I want to be very successful. I want my business to be the best. Blah, blah, blah. They're like out there in the clouds. And I say, well, what are your sales? Like your goals and units. Tell me exactly what you want to accomplish. In money-wise, revenue, how much do you want to make? Is it 100,000? Is it 25,000? Is it $1 million? How much can you make? Or market share. Maybe you going into a market, very well developed market, and you say, I want to take 2% of that. And that's my goal. And that's fine too. You can also have other objectives that are part of the mix. You can say, I want to create brand awareness. I want X number of people to know about my product. I want them to come to my school. I want them to come to my gym. I want, to at least know about it. Number of channels of distribution. I'm gonna sell my product on internet and at the store, or just through distributors. You have to, you can determine how many, and the price. Is it gonna be a membership? Is it gonna be a daily rate, an hourly rate, things like that. And be very specific, because if you're not as specific, what happens? Can you measure if you've accomplished your goals? No. So you have to be very specific about it. You have to be specific and measurable. Once you have everything down, then you can talk about who your target market is. Is it a mom, in her 30s, who has kids and goes to the gym, or she works part-time, and she has a dog. The more you know about your customer, especially in advertising, we have these things that you describe the person to the T, and you really get into, you even put their name and what they do and what they like to do. the more specific you have that person in your mind, the easier it is to attract that person because you know that you're working towards that. Positioning. Positioning is really funny because when I ask my students what it is, they will tell me, oh, positioning is where you put, like where in the shelf you put your product. So I always have to go over it and over it again. What is positioning? Who can tell me what positioning is in this sense?
Would it be your target?
Yes, it's an image. How do you want your customers to perceive you, right? For example, in your business, Mireya, do you want it to be affordable? What do you want, trustworthy?
Cost related
Cost related?
and
You gave us a bunch of words right now.
well, I forgot
Trustworthy,
Trustworthy,
connecting.
yeah, very personalized.
Personalized, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so your positioning, once you have that down, then it helps you to create your communication. And then you can do advertising and a promotion that says that same thing. So people have that image of you in their minds. So it's not the shelf, not putting the product on the shelf, that's a different type of positioning. We're talking about how you want other people to perceive your product or your service, your company. You want to be trustworthy, dependable, things like that. Thank you. And then of course you add your marketing mix strategies, right? You the four P's for a product and the 7 P's for a service. So product, what is my actual product? What does it consist of? Mireya, can you tell us again what is your product in a nutshell?
Well,
The
my
design or
the services that I'm offering is connections. I'm connecting small businesses with nonprofit organizations. So there's a way for the nonprofit organization to get promoted, and also the small businesses can get promotion from the nonprofit organization when they both work together. And I'm also
so you're like a consultant.
yes, but I'm also like a PR and marketing.
Okay.
Because I was telling last week, I'm working right now with Time Explorers. This is a small business that just opened the door last month, and I help them with to get press coverage for their opening, and I distribute a lot of press releases,
Okay.
and I'm also helping them with not this particular business, but I'm offering also web design, but very basic websites, because I know also that there are a lot of small businesses that still they don't have their
Yes.
website, and today that's very important. And there are many of them are thinking they have to have like a very fancy website, and that's not necessarily
Not
true.
necessary a lot of the
Not
time.
not all of them need a website like that. So
Yes.
some of them just need something basic and something affordable. I can do it very affordable, and I don't know if I already answered the
Yeah,
question.
so you have different services for different things, right? So
Yes.
you have pricing for different
Yes,
different
but I
services.
have a question. I don't really know how to communicate my story. My idea came up when I was helping a nonprofit organization, Latinitas.
Uh-huh.
You know about that, and that's when I noticed that there were a lot of small businesses owners that wanted to help, but they didn't know how, and so that's when I got the idea. So, but I don't really know how to communicate my story. So, and I know that's important.
Yeah, of course. And the reason why I know Mireya is because we talked a while back,
Oh
right?
yeah,
And,
I went to her office to get advice, and she helped me a lot, and she remembered me. It was like 2 years ago,
Yeah, it was
and
several years ago.
Yeah, I was very surprised right now when she said hi, and she was so very excited. And I was like surprised because I didn't know that she was going to remember me.
Yeah, and then yeah, I was very excited to see you too, and I wanted to see your successes. And one of the things that I mentioned to her back then was that she needed to develop a story.
Yeah.
And you can write it down. It could help you to just write down personally how you're so interested in that and how it touched your heart. You know, to see that there's a lot. So just developing a story, and it takes a lot of practice to do it, but eventually you get it right. Like my student, she practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced doing presentations, and so when she came the next year, her story was very very polished, very developed. And so you had the key points of how she got started, that emotional appeal that helps to connect with people. And I can help you if you want later on to develop your story. How am I going to do it? How I'm going to distribute that product. If it's a service, what people are going to be providing my service, physical evidence of the service, because of course a lot of the times you only have a website, or maybe you provide your service in a classroom, somewhere, and that is also has an art to develop the right environment to provide that service, like a hairstylist, right? Have the right environment. Process, what's the process? The customer gets down from the car and walks in, what do you do? What's the front stage like? Do we greet them? Do we give them water? Do we just ask how their day is going? What's happening in the front and the back stage? Productivity, how much services do you want to provide, or products per day, etc., per hour, things like that. So this is where you lay down how you're going to get there. You've mentioned all the opportunities. This is the time to shine. This is how we're going to do it. Then, of course, you have to develop an action program. Why do we have to have a program like that? Why do you think we need to have an action section? To put it in action. What if over here you're saying, I want to do this and that and this and that and this and that, and then you don't have anybody to help you do it? Are you going to accomplish that? You have to be reasonable. So these two things have to go together. You have to determine what's going to happen, who's going to do it, what's the timeline. I mean, you're really getting into the details of it, because as business owners, you're thinking all these things, but you don't have it. You really don't know how you're going to do it, who's going to do it. If you're seeking, again, money for your business, investment, having a good marketing team helps to show that you have that team behind you, and they have a lot of experience, and they're going to take you to the next level. And then I just want to finish up with these two sections, financials and forecasts, right? This is another section that banks and investors look at. And they want to know what your sales are going to be like, right? What are your expenses and your profit? Again, we want to measure the, your goals, and we're going to forecast what's going to happen in 1, 3, 5 years. Usually those are the three types of forecasts that you will create for your business. And I think you probably did that too with your business plan, right? 3 to 5 years in the future. And this is where business owners get in a little bit of trouble, right? Because we tend to inflate numbers. We're very optimistic that we're going to have all these sales within the first month, and it doesn't really happen. So what I advise business owners is to do 3 different estimates. One's your best case scenario. Another one that is your average scenario, like, not good but not bad either, just average, and then your low or worst case scenario. Once you average those out, you probably get the more accurate number for you. And banks, will take a look at this, and again, if your numbers look inflated or ridiculous, they will toss the commercial plan. And then, of course, you want to finish up with your measurements, right? Because what good does it do if you're not really measuring if you're attaining your goals? So you want to go back and see if you're hitting those milestones. If within those 3 months you actually made $20,000, within that year or month, whatever you want to, it's up to you, whatever you want to create as your milestone, but you really need to check it, monitor the plan again. That's why it's flexible, because things change. Maybe you have to change something that will maybe one of your strategies is not working, so you'll have to change that. You gotta monitor and check back with yourself, and then of course you can do a conclusion, you can do an appendix. I didn't include that in there because I didn't want to take that much time, but the plan, the actual template is on our website, and it's down here. It's utep.edu/business/cfhe.html. So you can download this presentation, you can download the template, you can connect with us through all of our social media. We would love to share more information with you and connect with you. And we're also probably going to upload this presentation too for other people who couldn't make it. And I just wanted to show my two students. They're Diego's back there. He's one of our students, and Damaris couldn't be here, but she's also a research assistant. She helps me with research. Diego helps me with other programs, and Ceci's also helping us back here with the camera. Another student who worked for the rookie, and we have another professor who helps me with the research, but there was no space down there, so we couldn't add him. And that's it. Are there any questions? Do we have time for questions? Yes.
Any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on.
What are the top three types of businesses that Hispanic owners own in the U.S. and in El Paso?
Well, it varies. For men, it's usually construction, financial, professional services. For women, it's usually more like retail, restaurant, things like that. Technology, unfortunately, is very limited, and so there's an opportunity there. We see that Hispanics usually have about 1% of businesses, of all the businesses in technology. So as you can see, it's very, very minimal. Oh, we're trying to change that. We're trying to create programs, and not me, but other centers that care about that and want to forward that. Anybody else? Yes.
Good presentation. If everybody did what you have listed up there, to start their business and did all their homework and evaluation.
Yes.
A lot of times you hear about new businesses starting out and maybe they fall down in 1 year,
Yes.
6 months, 2 years, but they've done all this work. Is there something that you have a special knowledge of? What happens that they end up failing? Obviously, if they did all the homework,
Mhm.
they didn't do some of the follow-up or something, how would you?
Well,
how would you
I
break that?
personally, the way that I see it, and when I speak to business owners, a lot of the times is that they don't find their right purpose, the right business that connects with their type of personality and what they're really meant to do, and so that can hinder you from being successful as well. That's why I mentioned that earlier, that it's really important to find that connection with your power and your creativity and what you're really passionate about. Because if you're not passionate, I've seen examples too in cases in our studies of businesses that don't continue because they just lose the passion. They just want to do something else. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
Where would you find information on market share? One of the things you're saying is, like this company has this percent of the market share. How would I find that out?
There are databases online. you can figure out how much people are spending through demographics now, and you can look at major corporations. It's more difficult to find out when the company's not public, because there are really no databases that show what percentage. But if you want to get an idea, you can look at Dun & Bradstreet, and that's one way you can see who has the biggest share in the U.S. of that type of product or service. But one thing you could do is go to demographics now and find some information through your universities, or even the small business development centers through ECC. They can help you maybe gain access to those databases for free, because there's a fee attached to them. But then you can figure out how much people are spending per zip code or per city, and then you can figure out the overall market for it. And so if you say, okay, so people are spending $300,000 a year a household in this area, well then I want that, that part of it, that 2%, 1%. I think I can catch that. It is difficult to assess, but there are ways that you can do different assessments. Does that help? Anything else?
Does your office work by appointments, or how do you consult?
Well, yeah, you can send me an email and we can set an appointment. We also have we have an ecosystem of centers there at UTEP that are very helpful. So if I'm not available, there's another professor who has a different center, and he does a lot of consulting too. You just reach one of us, and we'll set an appointment for you. Anything else? Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Oh,
I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
Do you help also entrepreneurs with social media?
Well, it's more our help is most like guidance towards it, but I can definitely guide them in the right direction, because that's one of my favorite topics to talk about is digital marketing, social media.
Okay.
Yes.
But not specifically to have it set up properly as a Facebook page or Twitter account.
I can maybe refer them
Website.
to companies and
Oh, okay.
things like that.
Okay, but not specifically.
We don't do the work for that. Correct.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody. It was really fun.